Bring it going in the next couple of minutes. Line and like I took them like a theater and I took for like
Well, we made it, there's still a lot to do. Got things that was going on for themselves. Yeah, you just need to get together too, Rachel. Yeah. Yes.
I sent you a text. Just daily pops up.
you just immediately I just came to eat. Wait for me. Grayson. People over there. And where is her go to the Sunday
So we just somebody else. Well, it's also really what the cost regular insurance. With our
What do you think of the pancakes?
Good morning. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. I know the last few people ready to maybe their return to White House. So just a thank you to our ESA team for putting that all together for us. And for the little bit wonderful play, Calvin is here wolfing down pancakes, and I said he just raise his hand and see whoever wants to go play and run out their energy down there. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin for an opening prayer.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we gather to discuss matters of the church. Let us never lose sight of the blessings that surround us. Cultivate within us a heart of gratitude for the opportunities, the challenges, and the growth we experience. Keep us humble in our achievements and steadfast in our commitment to the faith. With grateful hearts, we acknowledge your abundant grace and favor.
If you'll turn in your annual meeting report, which I will be grabbed outside of the sanctuary, not like down in the if you'll turn to, I think it's about the third page, there's an annual congregational meeting.
I saw you looking.
couple of notes in front there too from the bishop and from the ELC as a whole. They're just a good piece of information to read through later. He'll join me in the opening liturgy, and your part will be the part of the whole letter. Recognizing that our faith is a living, busy, active, and mighty thing, may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with each of you.
And also with you.
Teach us to love you with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Receive our prayer, Lord.
Descend on our hearts that we may love others in the ways that Jesus loves us.
Receive our prayer, Lord.
Empower us to be enthusiastic in pursuing your vision for our congregation.
Receive our prayer, Lord.
Move us to engage issues in our community in Christ-like ways, and to pursue deep and authentic relationships with those whom we serve and partner.
Receive our prayer, Lord.
Strengthen us to face the barriers we encounter in doing your work, learning to work with others and disagreements.
Receive our prayer, Lord.
Give us the ability to adapt to the cultural, economic, and social changes that occur in the neighborhoods we serve.
Receive our prayer, Lord.
Guide us to be a healthy congregation that learns from its failures as well as its successes and offers wisdom to others.
Receive our prayer, Lord.
As we strive to become the church that we proclaim to be, raise up leaders who focus on the gospel of freedom, forgiveness, and reconciliation as given to us through God's indescribable act of love in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Renew us daily in our baptism, that we may discover vitality in our relationships with you, each other, and those we serve in the world.
Amen.
Please join us in Son of God, Eternal Savior.
Hi there, I'm Lori Johnson. I'm the current education liaison on council, and I have the honor of reading last year's annual minutes to you. So stay awake. All right, here we go. All right, last year's meeting was called to order at 10:10 by the beautiful Sam. Our opening prayer was led by Pastor Aaron Fuller. Minutes were also taken by Pam. Jim Lucino made a motion. Lisa Barton, the seconded, and the motion was approved. Challenges, the budget, general fund shortfall highlights the expo booth in April, in Rockford with Rockford and Greenfield, 50th anniversary celebration, painting breakfast at River Day, Fall Festival, Crow River Christmas Market, Influence Church joins Nourishing Hope. We thank our amazing staff, Pastor Aaron, Amy Kirchhoff, and council members whose terms were up. At the time, that was Amy Jacobson, Brian Wilson, and Tiffany Dissett. We shared the energy that she is noticing and excited about that. I don't know what that means. After that was the council vice president's message by Wendy Gustafson. We shared our vision and encouraged others to share their gifts, whatever that may look like. After that, Pastor Aaron's message was what has given him joy. Engage and confirm had been fun and rewarding to see the students learn, grow, and ask questions. Also, more than ever, he loves to preach. He really brings joy to see more and more people, or brings him joy, to bring more and more people to get involved at OFLC throughout 2022. Coming out of the pandemic and seeing people contribute has been rewarding. He encouraged everyone to allow yourself to live out your faith and whatever that looks like, including allowing our youngest of OFLC community to participate with offering, Nourishing Hope, or whatever that may look like for them. Treasurer's recap for 2022 is from Amy Kirchhoff. Average giving per family in a month was about $200, $352,000 total giving in 2022. $43,000 giving of the year came from gifts from tax and the employer retention credit. Mortgage reserve sitting at $2,400, and she would like to see about 3 months of no reserve. Asked everyone to consider allocating some extra funds in that area in 2023. Amy shared what the treasurer role looks like and said she would be with the next treasurer every step of the way. Nourishing Hope report was given by Pastor Aaron. Nourishing Hope is our outreach ministry and not an outside organization. Demand has greatly increased in 2022. If you ask the community about OFLC, a lot of people will mention Nourishing Hope. Looking into the future, what does Nourishing Hope look like and where do we take this ministry in 2023 to help it grow? There are outside organizations that have shown great interest in helping Nourishing Hope grow. Foundation report was from Becky Miller. The foundation investment took a hit in 2022 due to the economy. Shared the website and all that the foundation has accomplished, learned about the foundation group members, and shared the grant tab. Decided to partner with the council on fancy breakfast for River Days in 2022. In 2023, wanted to have a logo contest to allow more exposure of the OFLC Foundation. Hoping to become bigger, working on more visibility. Thanks Mark Nelson, Tom Lemich, Kathy Lenderby, and excited to have Wendy Peterson join. Also thank all that have given to the foundation. Building and ground report was by John Gill. In 2022, new furnaces and an air conditioner, new lighting and sanctuary, patch the roof on the north end. In 2023, we need to get very serious about what to do with the north end, and we are running out of time. Looking for someone to spearhead a campaign to help get this project going, getting quotes on sealing the parking lot. Spring cleanup day will be in April or May, looking at sprucing up the landscaping. Voting items by Pam, Constitution, bylaws, revised Constitution went out in December 2022. The Constitution Committee submitted to the Synod in September 2022 and approved by Synod December 15, 2022. Organized structure of the Constitution so that amendments lined up with the bylaw. Changes included layout of the committee section to fit how OFLC functions today. Wrote it in such a way that council can decide when they need a committee for different items, events at OFLC, and can determine when these committees start and end. Pam asked for a motion to approve the revised Constitution. Anthony Wold made a motion to approve the revised Constitution. Wendy Jefferson seconded the motion, and the motion was approved. Voting in person held, and 2 out of 3 votes were needed. Vote passed, 47 yes votes, 0 for no votes. Council members, President appointment was for Wendy Gustafson, Vice President Shannon Sam, Secretary Chandler Drummond, at-large position Dan Schiller, and myself. Nominations for treasurer, none were made. Motions were made by Lynn Alford to approve the new council position, seconded by Timothy School. Oh, right here. Sorry. Treasurer position is vacant and needs to be filled. Ask everyone to please consider this position or ask around to see who can share their gifts. The OFLC Foundation board members include Becky Miller, Wendy Bjorn, Diane Durrell made a motion to approve new OFLC Foundation positions. Sharon Thomas seconded the motion, and that motion was approved. Budget options information was given by Amy Kirchhoff. Option 1 was to keep the lights on. That amount was around $222,034 votes. I'm sorry, $34 with 2 votes. Option 2 was to carry out our mission at $304,635, which got 35 votes. And option 3 was our dream big idea at $349,634, which got 9 votes. Motion was made by Brian Moulton to approve the 3 options voting for the 2023 budget. Barb Fugly, thank you. Fugly seconded the motion. Option number 2 was our winner with 35 votes. Closing prayer was given by Pastor Aaron, and motion was made by Eileen to adjourn at 11:43, seconded by Anthony Gold. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. That's always my favorite. You said yes. I appreciate that. All right. So this has been our presidential year, and what year it's been. This year's flown by, and it's been full of laughs and learning. I'd like to extend a thank you to Pastor Bob, who served as our interim pastor this year, as well as the council that's been serving with me. Pastor Bob has graciously took a chance with us as we were still creating the idea of how our church was going to run during this interim time. We kind of just broke free of the synod model of getting a full-time pastor and knew that we were really adaptable to community together. And so it was kind of made up by us, and it's worked out well. It's really good. And sometimes I just chuckle when we catch the synod staff off guard when we get creative in our planning. I want to thank the members of council. They really leaned into their call, and I appreciate that as well. Sometimes in our busy lives, we wonder if we have the time or the skills to be part of leadership. I encourage you to think about saying yes to this opportunity when the doors open. We'll get to that part soon, but it's a couple of good starter roles, so think about it. I'm just really a great example of the Bible passage in Exodus 4 that says God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. I've seen our community from a new perspective this year. Years ago, I participated in our mock steering team and found a similar experience of new relationships and personal growth. I've gotten to know people at a new level. Stepping into the small group experience has allowed me to take our relationships with people that are normally just a hi, how are you on a Sunday morning, to a deeper level. Years ago, I can remember talking with Pastor John about the growth that comes during challenges. And you better believe we were relying on God's guidance this year. And Kevin was preaching this morning, and I was like, yeah, there were lots of conversations with God of can you open that door? Or shine a light on what I should be focusing on over here. I really appreciate it. And at every turn I could see God at work. And there were constantly people saying, the first time I needed to figure out how to coordinate a funeral, I don't know how to coordinate a funeral. And I walked into church on Wednesday night and literally had everything covered in 5 minutes. I was like, oh, that's amazing. I've always thought of this community as my extended family. We celebrate together, we mourn together, we work together. And I can promise you, we have had a lot of fun together along the way too. I think that's kind of the unique part of our church. I can't just begin to list the times this year that I had a question or a need and people stepped in to fill it. I had the opportunity to see our community care for one another. I talked to people at church, I talked to people that attend other churches, and I honestly never heard anyone else describe their church in that way, and I'm really grateful for it. For our family that is still has younger kids at home, I think this year has been incredibly valuable too, in showing our kids the value of demonstrating God's love in many ways. We've heard Pastor Aaron and others talk about our offering taking so many different forms. Sometimes I feel like when that message comes, as the offering plates are about to be handed out, we're like, yeah, it comes in different forms, which leads to the offering plate. But it really is true. There are so many ways that people in this community give to the church. And I think because I was in here throughout the week, I saw so many more things like the paper towels that just get filled, or the garbages, or whatever it is. It's the little thing. And I think when Shannon will sometimes say, "Oh, that thing's really bugging me," and I say, "That's great, because I don't even notice that." And so all the different eyes kind of focus on their thing. That's how we kind of come together. It's provided me opportunities not only for me to give to our church, but for my family as well. It's really how I grew up. My mom taught here when this section was Rainbow Connection Preschool. My parents, for reference, Tammy was mentioning our Lenten services that we did last year. So for those of you that are newer, this was the sanctuary. We had this and this opening here with an accordion, the old style accordion doors we loved as kids, and the offices, and that was the entire church. So when we come in here and we have our fellowship hall, to those of us that have been here for years, we're coming into this is a sanctuary. And so that just brings it all together. And so, they'd sit right here and sing in the choir, and then we get rowdy on the other side, and the doors would open, and they'd tell us to be quiet, and the doors would slam shut. We likely went back to being really loud, probably, but those are the memories that are part of the foundation of who I am. And I thank you for the opportunity to pass those experiences along to our kids. It's quite literally the foundation that made us, I regret this every January. We lived in Texas. We loaded up our 2-year-old and our newborn and headed to Minnesota in a polar vortex to move our kids back to this community. Those that know me know this is a really huge decision because I really dislike winter, but this group was worth it. Another experience that I treasured was walking through the seminary process with Sarah Zender. Watching her progress through seminary and celebrating her ordination here in December, it was amazing. The wonderful pastors that we have grown from our pews that are now spreading the love of God throughout the world with Pastor Aaron overseas, and it really is going everywhere. Sarah reminded me during our call process this year that it would test my NICU nurse control tendencies. And her first encouragement to me when I was like, okay, so we're gonna do this, and then in 4 weeks we'll have this, and then 3 weeks from there, and then I had it all planned out. And she really encouraged us to trust the pace of the Spirit. And with Shannon as my vice president, as a realtor, and me as the NICU nurse, we really are used to being problem solved fast. But God has had different plans this year. And the process and opportunity has allowed us to just take a deep breath and see how far we've come. I think the ministry site profile that we wrote for our potential candidates reflects the changes and the growth that have happened here. OFLC has evolved in the first 50 years. So many things have changed, and yet so many things are still to come. I think the words on our website sum it up well. Welcome to our Father's Lutheran Church. We're caring, hopeful, genuine folks gathered to share Christ's love with each other and our community, and you are always welcome here. I'm thankful for where we have been, and I'm excited to see where we're going. And because Robert's Rules of Order are not my specialty, my former president reminded me, we're going to go back to minutes for a moment. Are there any questions on the minutes from last year that Laura just finished reading? And could I have a motion to approve them as written? Yeah. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion motion approved. That's on the voting item. All right, with that, I will turn it over to Shannon, Vice President to the President.
Wow. First of all, can we give Wendy a huge round of applause for that? That is no easy feat. And when she started and agreed to be president, we had a pastor who all of a sudden 2 months later said, just kidding, I'm moving to Europe, and talk about uncharted territory. So I just want to take a moment and talk about how blessed we all are here at OFLC to have Wendy Gustafson as part of our church family. She is truly a gift sent down from God, and she cares about every single one of us in this room. Let me give you an example of her amazing servant heart. Earlier this year, I was having a really rough day where I learned some really hard news. Wendy, ironically, called me to discuss some council business, which, if any of you know us on a personal level, we like to yap for a long time on the phone. But on this particular day, she could hear on the other end of the line that something was seriously wrong. I had been crying and something was wrong. I know she had a really busy day that day between appointments and carpooling her kids around to various summer activities. Even so, when she quickly learned I was in a state of devastation, she stopped everything that she was doing, told her boys to go entertain themselves. Everyone can hear what he's saying, go somewhere else. And literally listened and talked to me on the phone for over an hour until she knew it was okay that she could hang up with me. Right before our phone call was ending, she said, "Can we pray together?" Of course I said yes. As she was praying the most beautiful prayer I have ever heard anyone pray in the most graceful, impromptu manner, because she's seriously graced in impromptu prayers that I'm not graced. I have to write it down. She could just go rogue and just have a beautiful prayer. I got goosebumps as I could feel, like really feel God's presence in that room. She may not realize this now, but I needed her more than anyone else that day, and she delivered. Tammy always says to us at choir, look for those God sightings. And that was a definite God sighting. God brought Wendy to me on that day in that exact moment when I needed her. So you know the saying, God damned the day you were born. Well, Wendy, this truly holds true for you. God damned the day you were born. Congratulations on an amazing year of leadership. All right, now I have big shoes to fill, and if you would have asked me 5 years ago that, would you be president of a church council, I'd say no. And I'm doing that. It's amazing what God pokes you to do, right, Wendy? Now, and as we enter the year of 2024 at OFLC, with excitement, nervousness, anticipation, and other emotions as we await for our next pastor, and who will that will be called to OFLC, let us not forget who we all truly are. When we all work together as one voice, practicing the good works that Jesus has taught us to do, we can create amazing and fantastic things here within the walls of OFLC and in our surrounding community and homes. Whether you serve at Nourishing Hope every month, take out the garbage, like Wendy says, when you know to this full in the fellowship hall, give a high five to one of our high-energy Sunday school children, make lefse to prepare for Program Christmas, host a trunk at our annual fall festival that draws in over 500 people every year, run the soundboard at church, thank you Wayne, sing in the choir or play in the bell choir, pray with your church family, hug someone after church service that you recognize may need an extra hug that day, spend time with the Engage and Confirm kids, or sit down with an old friend for coffee after church. And there's so many other acts of God that you're doing that you may not even realize you're doing it throughout the community and at OFLC. You are OFLC. You are the definition of the OFLC church family. We are OFLC. I often hear that a church family is only as strong as its weakest family member. If that's the case, then I would say our church family is one of the strongest there ever was. Let's make 2024 our year. Go out and serve your community at whatever capacity that looks like to you. And I will be here as the newest president to encourage and support you always. Let's say a prayer, please. Dear God, please be with us here at OFLC as we enter a new year. Let us not forget that we are children of God who have been called out into this world to serve and love our neighbors, just as you have taught us. Please be with OFLC as we patiently await the call and welcoming of our new pastor. We know you have big things in store for our church family, and we see the good you have provided us with. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Made your mind up, Brian, but With that, I would like to invite Wayne to come up and share a little bit with us. The call committee has been doing their best for us and has created a great ministry site profile this year, and I will let him give us a little update on that.
Thank you. This all started February 26th of last year. Pastor Aaron resigned, and of course it was all a shock to us. And soon thereafter, the call committee, the request was put out to form a call committee, and call committee volunteers appeared, and we were installed in March. The call committee members are Harold Gressett, Erica Stark, Kevin Reed, Amy Voss, J.D. Gustafson, and myself. The first job was to develop our ministry site profile and submit it to the council and then finally to the synod. And that was in late May and early June. And then in June, the Bishop Svengenson came out to discuss with us our needs and make sure that the synod understood where we were coming from and what we were looking for. We received a total of 7 candidates so far. We interviewed 3 of them. Some of them were outside of our level, the level that our budget would allow, and some decided not to continue the call process with us. We do keep in close touch with the synod, and we keep encouraging them to keep presenting us as a vibrant and exciting place to be. And so we're looking forward to them providing good candidates over the next, hopefully soon, time period. The synod has admittedly been has taken a little bit longer time to fill our roster of candidates than they hoped, and various reasons for that. But we're encouraged that we're going to find the right candidate and to fill the needs that we desire. So thank you. Any questions that anyone has? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wayne. So I don't know about what's been happening in your circles in January, but around me I feel like everyone's been dropping like flies with illness. And so Jill Maxson and her family are no different. They've been fighting stuff all week. So Jill is not able to be with us today. So because the president stuck into things that make them uncomfortable, Shannon said, I could probably handle that. So she's going to be kind of filling in for Jill today. So be gentle with her. Because usually we're like, where are we at with that, Jill? They fill us in. So she will present a little recap of where budget is at currently.
Okay, full disclosure, I think most of you know I'm a real estate agent, so usually when there's numbers involved, I usually say, here's the phone number of the loan officer. You can call them, because when I see spreadsheets, it's daunting to me. So I was thrown into this role late last night, so I'm going to try to navigate this treasurer's report as best I can. I did sit down with her and do a budget. I think the big thing, and I'll just read 2023 review, the generosity, talent, and prayers of our congregation members is truly something to be thankful for. Each one of you has a gift, and you brought it forward. As you will see below, we have grown our funds, which is mostly due to not having a full-time pastor salary. We do need to keep this in mind, and when we get a new pastor, the cost of a new pastor will increase roughly $24,000 from Pastor Aaron, due to Pastor Aaron taking Navy benefits, and he also didn't collect pay when he went on his military training and leave. So he was definitely I hate to use the word bargain, but for lack of a better term, like he was a bargain. We are learning a lot on council as to how a salary breaks down for a pastor, and it's been very eye-opening for myself. So this graph represents the number of families and their annual giving. We have 65 families who gave less than $500 for the year, and 75 who gave more than $500 for the year. It sounds like, unfortunately, she hasn't received her December financial statements as of today, so she's including where we are at through November with a comparison to 2022, and where Nourishing Hope was in November compared to 2022. In December, between Christmas and giving, we had $42,379.62. So is it clergy that gives us the numbers, I think? I believe. So we are just waiting on Clergy Financial. They are not always the fastest to get us the following month's reports, unfortunately. In 2023, with the Give to Max Fund, from 2022, we were able to resurface the parking lot. And with the Give to the Max funds from 2023, we're hoping, we're getting quotes right now to update the technology and sound system. So that's your building and grounds guy, which is my husband, and I don't see him in here. But I'm gonna call him out here.
He's chasing somebody.
He's chasing one of our children.
It's hard to find good help.
Yeah, it is hard to find good help. So we, and then we actually, Amy Kirchhoff, a couple of years ago, created, or maybe a year ago, a roadmap. And I like visuals because when I see spreadsheets, like I said, my brain hurts. But if I get a visual like a roadmap, it kind of just gives you kind of goals. I like to always have goals, financial goals. So obviously 2022, we had 2 furnaces that went out, and we had an AC that was installed on the south end, so that we had a lot of mechanical things that need to be taken care of. 2023 is the parking lot. Actually, the parking lot guy said if we waited much longer to seal it, we would have bigger problems of probably $70,000 or more of like literally ripping it out and starting all over. And then the next on our goal list for 2024 is the sound system. We are one of the only churches that I've noticed, I've talked to Wendy about this a ton. If you look at, I hate to use the comparison of Riverwood, but they're the other church in town, and a lot of these churches are going live, and their live streams look very professional. I feel like we're very outdated on that. There's no live stream at all, other than YouTube, but if you just poke around on Facebook, you'll see what I'm talking about. And I would like to get us up to par with everyone else, because there are people that maybe they don't want to go to church because they have COVID or influenza, but they still want to be involved in our church. So I think that's really important to get engagement outside of just people physically sitting in the pews. So
Just so no one has sticker shock, it is expensive. Right?
it is very expensive,
Yeah.
but I know a guy, right?
We
I know a
don't.
guy that's getting quotes, but he's not in the
Well, that would
room.
be-
So that's all I have to start with the report. If you have additional questions, you can email, is it accounting@OFLC? Accounting@OFLCchurch.org.
Thank you, Shannon. And now I'm going to wrangle another arm because we were going like things to not make Shannon do all of the things. You know, would you mind, she does mind, but because I asked you really, really nicely, because Brittany couldn't be here, just a little update from the Nourishing Hope crew and all the amazing things they're doing. There's some numbers on pages 24 and 25 in your report too.
So if you take a look at pages 24 and 25, I think you'll see a lot of numbers, and a lot of the numbers are big numbers, and that's because there's so much need in our community, and it's just such a blessing to be able to continue to fill that need, or help to fill it. I know there's a lot of places that are helping. If you look at the total number of pounds of food that we've distributed this year is well over 300,000 pounds. And if you are up here on that is a good thing. And if you are up here on any day that we are packing and distributing food, you'll just see piles, bins of food that are just, it's so impressive. And I want to say and I was going to say, this is off the cuff, but I did a little bit of math, and if you look at the pounds of food and the number of cars served, it's over 165 pounds of food going into each car. And of course, each family doesn't get that much, but families ride together, and so often there's like 2 families represented or 3, but it's huge numbers of people are getting large amounts of food. And I'd like to say thank you as a volunteer for the organization. I would like to say thank you to Brittany, who coordinates Nourishing Hope so well, and all of the connections that she has, and her, I think her social media skills, which I don't have at all, but she really puts it out there, and when she does, it brings results. I appreciate the church support. All of you are supporting this ministry, whether you come up and volunteer or not, and it is so appreciated and recognized in our community. I want to recognize our community partners. So there are six communities now, so 5 in addition to our fathers that are distributing food, and we all pack together. So if you are ever up here on a second Monday, you will see tons of volunteers, some from that you'll recognize and many that you won't. They show up and they get to work and they work hard. Most of them work hard. There's a few coffee drinkers, but hardly anyone. And then the sources of our food. And the sources of our food are Second Harvest Heartland, Untights, which some of you know from their stands, their vegetable stands that they have up in the summer. They donate produce. Cub and Buffalo donates bread products and bakery products, and then Whole Foods also donates. So that's what I came up with off the
That was amazing. There are so many fantastic things happening through Nourishing Hope.
Can I bring up one item?
Sure.
Just going back to the treasurer's thing. I put together the bulletin, and I know we have gotten away from providing financial numbers. And I'm just wondering how many people would like to see that back. I know it's been.
We've actually talked about that in council, and it is coming back. It's a factor of our transition from clergy financial back into using our own bookkeeper, and that is actually in the works to have that information. Yeah,
Thanks.
because I agree. I had the same thing. I'm like, okay, where are we at?
Well, and I know that was kind of a big contention last year, that people want to see the numbers, and
Yeah.
so, we've gotten away from that, and I just want to make sure.
Does that include attendance first Sunday last year?
The, like including the attendance?
Yeah, you're gonna publish the.
We could. I had not thought about that in relation
I
to
don't
the
know if it's
attendance.
been brought up or not.
It hasn't actually. Is that helpful?
Well,
I
no, I just
suppose.
wonder if there's an interest in it.
Okay. Do people have an interest in doing attendance and flying? I suppose it's helpful when you're looking at the numbers for next week to go, there were, 70 people at church versus 300. That might be reflective, so. Okay, thanks for that input, I appreciate it.
It's encouraging to know that the numbers are going up.
Mm-hmm, they are, yeah, agreed. All right, with that, I will turn it over to Becky Miller for a report from the OFLC Foundation.
Doubt. Shannon, you and I are on the same page as far as spreadsheets, so would you come up here and explain the foundation I came this morning and I think I asked Wendy, I said, you're going to be doing the slideshow thing and projecting on the wall, and I said, because I'd like to just do what I did last year and bring up the foundation website so you can all see what we've been doing. And she said, no, we're not doing that. And I said, okay. So I'll try to be brief here. But please check out our website. It's easy to find out our Father's Lutheran Church. There's a tab for the foundation. So please check us out. There's new pictures up there because we've been doing some more giving, and I don't know, there's lots of cool stuff on there. Really cool. All right, finances. Oh, we have a new logo. I know that the report, the minutes you read said that we were going to have a logo contest, and I was the only director that was really gung-ho on that. so fourth grade. But anyway, we do have a logo, so maybe you've noticed it. I'll try to get it out there more. But I've asked it to be, whenever there's a foundation report, I've asked the office people to please have our little logo on there. So, finances. When there's an election year, or close to an election year, you might know that stock market does that. So we decided, with some advice from people who know better than I do, that we were going to put some of our money into some bonds, guaranteed money coming back. And so we didn't put it all there, of course, but we do have a nice big chunk of money that's going to be sitting, earning hopefully good money. And we won't lose that way. So that's something that we decided to do this year. Get to the max. There's some not accurate information here. We did over $1,300 on Get to the Max, and we feel pretty good about that, considering it was our first time even trying to do it. There's so many things that go on behind the scenes that I'm not good at. Kristen Hoyles, she's an amazing webmaster kind of person, and she just gets stuff, and she can make the buttons work on a web page and all those things that I can't do. So I wish she looked closer and would be a member here, because she's an amazing lady. But she's done a lot of things with our website and with the state and getting our, I don't even know, but she just does a lot of stuff that I don't have to know, right? Tax statements. Those of you who have been making donations, thank you. We have been seeing our foundation grow. And for those of you that don't know this, we don't spend any of the money that you donate. We only spend the interest. So we make a budget based on the earnings for that year, the interest earned on that year. So those of you who have given, made donations to us, I'm hoping to have tax statements ready for you by the first week of February. I'm hoping that that's how it works. Why am I doing all this? We don't have a treasurer. We lost our treasurer, and we don't have a vice president. So guess what? I'm here to recruit. Some of the same things that everybody's been saying, get involved, show us your gifts. This is not a hard committee to be on. The foundation, we meet about 4 times a year, maybe a little bit more if we have something special going on. We're a neat group. You can see who's in that group right there, and a nice mix of people. But we do need, our bylaws say you have to have 6, and right now we have 5. So we are looking for someone, 2 people, 3 people to join us. When I joined this foundation, there were 12 people. And then I became president, and we're down to 5. What did I tell you? I promise I didn't make anybody mad or anything. But they all had their reasons for wanting to, or needing to leave. So if you do want to look at that, so I need a treasurer. And so I'm going to ask you to just take a quick peek at our little financial page here, our report. Because I want to be that transparent person, I mean, I'm very, very worried about that, or not worried, but I want to make sure that I am. Anything that's in pink, I did that. I'm not the treasurer, but I did it because I want people to know that if it's wrong, it's me, but I don't want to hide anything. So that's why I put that like that. And we have somebody who's giving us $80 every month. You can see that at the top. I didn't put the December money in there. Another person is donating $50 every month. We really appreciate those reoccurring donations to us. But you can kind of see what's happening down there and where we're at, and that's all I know. I think that's all I got. Yeah, so if anybody's interested, we're having our next meeting February 6th, I think it is. And in the past, I think Brittany may have said, yeah, everyone's welcome. Well, it really is a meeting of the directors. But if you have any interest at all, please contact me or in the church, or show up on the 6th. Although we'd like to know ahead of time if somebody else is going to be coming and joining us. Okay? Questions for me? No? Good. Any questions? All right, thanks. Thank you, Becky. The veterans are really a big, right? Just come and do your best. That's all we ask. This year, our buildings and grounds has transitioned from John Gill, who spent many years servicing our building. We so appreciate to do John. I know he never wants me to point him out, but I really do appreciate all the hours. And that was like I referenced the things going on behind the scenes
And one day I happened to pop up here and John was fixing the urinal in the men's room. And you may guess that I am really quite unfamiliar with the urinal in the men's room. But
So
the
was
next
I.
week, one of my boys comes out of the restroom. Oh my gosh, Mom, you should see how the urinal works. So people do appreciate the things that they pay never notice. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our new buildings and grounds guy, Aaron Hunter.
Good morning. I guess I was tasked with giving an update on buildings and grounds, and when I say I guess, I mean I was told, but I don't think I listened properly to my wife before I said. So you get a glimpse into our home life of what happens here. Anyway, I would also like to thank John for all of your service. For myself, I didn't realize all the things that are happening or not working or not happening in the church. So it's amazing what John has been able to do in a volunteer role to keep the church up and running, because it is, obviously, we're getting dated in some areas of the church here. So he's done an amazing job. Real quickly, this past year, as John stepped away towards the end of the year, right at the end of that, we had put together, the council got quotes for the parking lot resurfacing, trying to decide where to use some of these funds, and I guess deciding that making sure that we keep the church on the exterior looking presentable and acceptable to both our congregation members and others that are coming through for different events. We do put some value, or a lot of value in that. So we got that resurfaced and striped in the fall. Looking into this year, we have been, I think, a few items that we already know that will be worked on. A surprise boiler visit, or a surprise visit by an HVAC company to fix a boiler that provides heat to this wing. So unfortunately, that wasn't really budgeted for, to my knowledge, but it's one of those surprise. And then also, I think it was already mentioned, is looking into or getting quotes for updates to the audio visual in the sanctuary. So we'll get some of those quotes, I guess, prices, and put a scope of work, hopefully with the help of Wayne and his expertise on that, is, hopefully we put something together and see some progress there. As far as general upkeep of the building, once again, encourage you to either go on the website. If you see something that needs fixing, there is a link on the website. You can click on there, and it'll go to Cristal, so we can stay on top of those things, or shoot an email or text message, whatever it may be. There always seems to be a light out here, or something. Oh yes. And then the other project that is being planned for in the springtime is the sidewalk on the south side. There's been some settling there, so we've got some kind of large tripping hazards, and I believe Jody's father is going to be the foreman who's got experience in concrete. So we did get some quotes this past fall, both doing like the mud jacking or foam jacking, or just completely ripping out and repouring new concrete slabs. But I think we can do it much more economically with someone who knows what they're doing and just ordering some concrete. So we're hoping to do that this spring, make sure that we can hopefully reduce or mediate any tripping hazards that we have on the concrete. So, any questions? Oh, yes.
I'm just curious about the update to the AV system, if there's any more specifics as what we are looking for. Is there going to be a drop-down screen, or, I mean, what are we hoping to accomplish with the update on the AV system? And what are the ballpark bids?
How much can you give? That's what it comes down to.
But Shannon just said they had budgeted $15,000. So my initial thought, and I am open to any suggestions if there's expertise out there, is I have a gentleman who I've worked with in the past in my professional life that he has done a lot of audio visual, and he had just done an AV for his brand new church in Blaine, and he has offered to come out and just give a like no cost, he doesn't charge anything, he just does it because he enjoys doing it. I was gonna have him come out and really kind of give me, and hopefully Wayne and whoever else, what can we get, you know, for 15,000, knowing that we're not, you know, we don't have a ton of money, what can we get? So I don't have an answer like as far as, are we looking for drop-down screens or, you know, we want to be able to, live stream, be able to have, you know, through webcam and not have a tablet, you know, things like that. So it's, I think the first thing will be is, let's explore and see what's out there. What are the options, and, you know, is 15,000 even a reasonable number? And that'll be kind of the first step, and then from there, you know, definitely get some quotes from, you know, several different businesses that can give other options and, you know, get those prices, and we'll come back and.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you thought of maybe if we could expand on the audio visual, you know, at least for being able to talk, you know, if we're trying to watch it at home, you can hardly hear people talking.
Yeah.
You know, and could we have a fundraiser thinking about something like that? I mean, if we only have 15,000 and that only gives something, could we have a fundraiser to bring that up? Because there's a lot of people that would love to be able to hear at least the service.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And what you're saying is exactly kind of where this conversation started, right? Like, as, I mean, okay, I got equipped with a lot of things this year. Doing the live stream was never one, but thankfully people showed up to who could operate it and turn on and get some sound. But yeah, it's things like that and making it not such a logistical hard thing. So I think those quotes are going to be important as far as, do we want a drop-down screen? Can we use our side white walls? Like, what logistically for people that do this kind of work makes the most sense? You know, can we utilize our sound desk as it exists versus do we need to expand it? I mean, those of you who've been around since that sanctuary started know that there's some dating going on to some of that equipment and what needs to be updated versus what is just in good place. Wayne?
Okay, first of all, right now we're using this tablet, as you see, as a streaming device, which is actually what we're using right now to stream this meeting. And the quality, you know, for the technology that exists, it's good, but it doesn't give you a good sound quality. The intent is, the first step would be replace using a tablet with a more professional camera, and then use the sound from the sound system to feed into a computer that then does the broadcasting, and then you get this type of sound quality that's at more professional level than just this little microphone that you have in the tablet. So that addresses that first part of having good quality sound as part of the broadcast. And that equipment is expensive, and I guess I'm hearing that's going to be our priority. And then as far as whether you can add projectors and screens and stuff, you know, those are also expensive. But I think what we're saying is we're going to take care of the broadcasting first, and then let's see if there's anything left to be able to address that, or maybe that's the next phase.
And just for a refresher of memory, 3 years ago, Brian Walton and we had met with the AV system that originally did the sound in here. And those quotes I sent to Wayne just recently, we got quotes, they range from 21,000 to 40,000. So I was, you know, it kind of alluded to, well, do you want this, you know, it's kind of sky in the pie stuff too. So I think we've got to address basically the minimum now, like for sound quality. I agree, when I'm at the cabin and I try to watch it, it's mind-boggling. You can't hear it, so we'll get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is there anything that we're going to be doing as far as a little bit of upkeep on the painting on this end of the building?
Exterior or interior?
Exterior.
Exterior?
Yeah.
Good question. I would agree with you. I think I think we've, at least my understanding from what I've heard from Jesse and others is, and well, as I look at it here, obviously the paint is peeling and chipping quite a bit. There are some pieces that have been repaired over the years. think it would probably be, I know it would be a good idea if we get a coat of paint on there to at least extend that exterior for, as long as we can, a couple more years. It's definitely gonna be a daunting task with all that paint that's already chipping, because you're gonna have to strip that before you put any new paint on it. So, I'll say, yes, we will look into it. And we'll definitely have to come up with a plan for this summer to see what we can do and what we can't do. I guess I tend to be the type of person at home, it's not that difficult of a project, I can do that. And I get into it, 3 weeks later, I have someone ask me, when can we be done with this project? And we're bit off more than I can chew, so, but we'll look at it, so.
I talked to Jesse Smith last summer, maybe the summer before, about redoing, it would be really, really hard task to try to strip all that. And he had suggested that maybe he could probably find some discount siding for us. And maybe make it even just a temporary, like you said, a 5-year plan or 6-year plan to redo this, to just make it look, until we can get the funds to actually carry into it. So I talked to him about it, and I don't, that's about as far as I'm going. So.
Yeah, we'll definitely, hopefully lean on Jesse, who is kind of a resident expert as far as exteriors go, and, if we can get some sort of deal or, use his expertise, we'll definitely go that way.
Because you can see that the birds have been chipping away and getting the bugs and stuff on it and eating all that. So it's rooting wood.
Yeah.
It's not just eating wood.
Yes, but the birds are being fed. So we are trying to look at the right side.
Thank you very much.
So the church that got the quotes that part of the reason why I stepped in the council was because there had been so much talk about what to do for North End. And so I thought that's what I was focusing on this year until there were different plans to find a new pastor. What has kind of held up that project? So I too had counsel with Jesse, like, do we need to tear this down? Like, I am not so sentimental about the side of the building. Like, if it's structurally unsound, please tell me, but I feel like it's a pretty good space. And he was like, no, you need a roof, you need windows, you need siding. Where we held up on this is that Nourishing Hope also needs more space. As you can see, we always have rolling racks and things everywhere. And they are able, through their what they're doing in the community, to do a lot of fundraising and bringing in grants and things. And so it didn't really make sense to dive in and redo the outside with the thought that we might be doing some expansion to provide room for them. So that's kind of been the holdup. If anyone has gifting in those type of, building projects, how to navigate some of that, because, clearly we're not like super rich around here, but we can, I think this is something going into our future, and it's kind of all piece by piece. I agree, I pull up every time I look at the siding and I'm like, or the paint. We see it, and it is a constant conversation about how to handle it. So please bring forth brilliant ideas. All right, with that, we're going to move on so we can get through our other things here. I'm going to turn it over to Shannon again, and we'll take a look at the budget, which I think is your last page on the report.
No?
That's the last page of mine.
All right. So for the 2023 budget, I did actually sit through the meeting and provide some input, so kind of know what I'm talking about, but not really. So the nice thing about Pastor Aaron, before he left in April, he did a really nice budget for 2023. He had sat down with Amy and a few other people, and he was very well versed in financial budgets, so it was really nice to get his input. And we basically kind of copied what he had with adjusting for inflation for some items. So that's kind of how we went through that. Is that right? Okay, so automobile expenses, so that would be like for the pastor, we have to provide auto expenses. There's a lot of layers of what is provided for a pastoral candidate. And then you'll see like bank service charges. So do you guys want me to go through this line by line? Okay. Yeah, do you have any questions? Because otherwise we could be here all day. Because I was doing this budget meeting for 3 hours, so. Be a Snorfest maybe for some of you. I think we were pretty much on par. The wild card always for us, I feel like, is the building, and that's just because of the age of the building. You just never know what's gonna go. So like, obviously, we didn't know we were gonna spend $4 grand. It ended up being about $4 grand for the boiler on this end, that needed repairing. So you can have no expenses for repairs, or you can have big expenses for an older building. So that's basically where we're at.
Can you remind us, the budget for '23 for repairs and maintenance was 48, and why was that up there? Did we have an expected to fix something at that point?
That's a really good question. It was one of the questions I had on the budget, so I did get an answer for that one. So that was for 2022, right? I think 48,000 we spent.
Yeah.
That is because we had 2 furnaces go out, and for those of you who remember maybe that were on council, there was a lady that came in and saw that this north end was smoking. And come to find out, I don't know, is there 5 furnaces? How many furnaces are in this building? Aaron, you should know this. 5 or 6?
But I still refer to John.
John, how many for 5?
There's 7.
There's 7 furnaces, so the chances of a furnace going out is high. And we had two go out in 2022. I want to say right around Christmas time. And then also, so that was for the 2 furnaces, plus for the AC unit that was put in on the south end. So we didn't have an AC unit on the south end. So between all of those items, minus about $8 grand was all HVAC. So as you can see, it's a big operation to heat and cool down this building. And that is basically, we feel good about the budget. Brittany and Joe, they put their heads together a lot of these numbers, and I trust they know what they're doing, and then they bounce off with Clergy Financial. So you got 3 different avenues of people that are well versed in the financials. So. Yeah.
So still looking at repairs and maintenance, how is it that we think we can get by with 8,000 for this year?
Because we didn't, that was in 2022 that we spent 48,000, or actually did that carry over into, I don't remember when they did that.
But our actual for 2023 was 23,000.
I don't know. Don't really answer.
I think that actually might include, I think that's including the cost of the parking lot.
Oh, the
That's
parking
why
lot
that was
maybe.
so high.
So if there's a big project, so we're not budgeting, so it would be more than that, because that's 8,000 minus the audio, visual. So every time we have a big project, but then they compartmentalize, like any audio visual, that's technology, that's not building. Which in my head, that still seems like building, but that's just how that's how Pastor Aaron structured
But we have a dedicated fund
for technology.
technology.
Yep.
The way Amy explained it too is that sometimes a budget, like you said, with an older building like this, they do budget high.
Yep.
For that reasons of the boiler going out or whatever.
Right.
They're never, the numbers are never gonna match between the actual and the budget.
That's the wild card always.
Yeah.
So.
Can you give an elaboration on the professional fees? I mean, that one really catches my eye with the difference of the budget versus, I mean, what's all involved in professional fees? It's quite high considering what the budget is.
Which one, Tammy?
Professional. So 23,000 versus 10,000. We're dropping 13,000. What was the 23,000 for 2023? Do we know?
I know, I was like, I don't know, I was trying to get to the budget before Amy left, because I'm like, you did the budget last year, so you should know more on that one.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall seeing that number on our last budget sheet.
It's just that it's so high.
It is, yeah. And I don't know if it was a payout to Pastor Aaron, potentially. Oh, it might be. There was some like parting financials we had to pay out to him. But I don't know what that dollar amount was.
That's true.
Does that have anything to do with the companies we hire to monitor our fund spending?
Clergy Financial was $500 a month, something like that.
$5 or $6.
$500 or $600 a month.
That could be part of that.
Yeah.
Did you get your bang for your buck, $500 a month?
So, well, as you can, we are starting to bring that back in-house because of that. It's a lot for the services that they provide.
And with, you know, with the cleaning, is that involved in that professional?
I don't know how she feels.
I don't know if that's professional or building.
Or building.
Because I don't know if that was ever taken out of building and grounds, but whatever.
Must be professional then. Professional also would be, you know, snow and lawn care too. That would check.
I think I remember seeing that number was about $7,000 a year, just to the lawn mowing and the.
Yeah, that's not
parking lots
cheap either.
there. Does that up quickly.
Well, there's a section for landscaping expenses, is that something different other than like the lawn?
Like, you know, that could be the snow blow. Yep. All great questions to email accounting@oflcchurch.org because I found out at 10 p.m. last night I had to do this.
Well, I think that's good, yeah.
So then we have any plans to cover the deficit now next year, or what do we do with that?
The deficit is on OFLC to encourage giving. You know, we do the give to the max to try to pull us out for some of these building projects as a fundraiser. If you recall, I tried doing a Yeti giveaway, so encouraging people to give online consistently. It's really hard to budget numbers when we don't have people giving online because it's hard to track. So if someone misses church for 4 months at a time and then they come back, you know, and they had to do offering and they didn't do online giving, it's just real. It's hard to budget when you don't know when the numbers ebb and flow. And then when you're in between pastors too, I've had several people say, "Oh, I'll come back when there's a pastor." Had a couple of young families say that to me. Unfortunately, that's just how they feel. So, and then you know, you figure they're probably throwing money in the offering plate. So there is giving always. It's historically speaking, you can see the numbers statistically goes down when you don't have a pastor. So I would say that will help make up the deficit too when you have a pastor with some new energy.
And it's definitely, it's a conversation that we sat down as a council and had with the call committee as well, because it truly makes a difference as we're calling a pastor what we can afford. So I did print up a few copies. I don't know if you guys remember from the annual meeting last year that Pastor Aaron had shared, he basically wrote up a graph for people like me that made it real clear of like what we were paying him because we did get some benefits because we had Navy benefits, and part of his time was in his chapter work. So when he was off doing that, we weren't paying him. And so because the Synod guidelines, and I strongly encourage you to check out our Minneapolis area Synod guidelines, is very specific in how and what you pay a pastor. And so if we're calling somebody of Pastor Aaron's level of experience, would cost us, at the time that he did these numbers, $110,000, but what we were paying to Pastor Aaron was about $82,000. So clearly that does impact. So those are conversations that we've had with the call committee as far as, you know, if we've looked at, because I think we have a great community that would be great for somebody who out of seminary, obviously, we don't think as much as somebody with 10 or 15 years experience and different things like that. You know, different ideas that we would be open to. And Pastor Aaron had encouraged us that too when he was leaving, like, you know, be creative. We have been creative. We've saved a significant portion of money this year by having me be the fake pastor. and you know, running the background stuff, and because if we had brought in the interims that they often recommend are repeat pastors, either that are retired or near retirement. So you're looking at somebody with 30 or more years of experience and at the very high top part of the pay grid, and we knew what our budget meeting would have looked like. So that's how we worked with Pastor Bob and filling in with other people like Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. And filling
Danny.
and Tammy. Tammy is the behind the scenes of all of the things in the worship, and I've been so grateful to not have, like, if she just sends me nice little updates, here's what I've got planned, and It's been a great deepening our relationship too, to like work together and kind of bouncing ideas off and how is this gonna work and where do we need council input on. It's been super, super helpful. Do we have more questions? Oh, it's my own father.
Confusing as it is, I'm wondering if we have any kind of information about the mortgage.
Oh, sorry about
The mortgage on the building. They usually had an update on that.
Did that back get printed? Because I actually did turn that.
No, I don't see it in there.
Yeah, the balance is right at 300,000. It is not in the report.
I didn't see it.
Okay, I can get that printed. Maybe I'll have it in like the Friday page fees. I know the balance is sitting at right at 300,000. Because I know we had talked about like our interest that we're paying on is like dwindling down, but I know that was about 14,000 in interest I believe that we paid this year. So it's like, oh, that's why that will have a little less going out because our overall balance is, our interest rate is sitting right at about 4.5%. It was a few years ago we financed that, if I remember correctly. So.
How long is that mortgage? When do they have to renew?
It is a 25-year mortgage, and it is coming in, did I send this to you this week? It's in the next like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, some.
That is it. It will be the end of it. But I will get those numbers to you because I did actually have that.
I'm just wondering, since there's no number actually plugged in for utilities, if this total is correct.
If there's no number plugged in for
utilities.
For 23 budget?
There's a couple blank spaces, and I'm just wondering, is that really representing a zero, or, usually you have a number plugged into a field just to say either zero or a different number. But like utilities has absolutely nothing, and budget, the actual cost is 16, whatever. So I'm just wondering, are these numbers actually accurate for like the budget from last year? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Give me
Because on a good note, if I'm reading this right, we budgeted total last year, 312, but we actually only spent 12,000. Right?
I'm just wondering, because if we're going to be voting on this, I want to have the confidence that, these are actual numbers instead of, when I'm seeing a bunch of blanks on here.
Yeah. Well, let me confirm with my council, from my previous council.
I think there's always a lot of confusion when you have a budget.
I know, and that's why I was really trying to get this, because I knew Amy would, maybe she had been treasurer up until January, would be able to answer a lot of
I
questions,
think
but
it makes,
unfortunately.
it makes a lot more sense to have the giving and the action together than say the budget and the action. The budgets are always such a gray area.
Their option would be to, without Jill, having Jill here, there's only a certain amount of information that we can give. If we would rather motion to have a special meeting to approve a budget when we can have Jill present to answer questions versus
the blank numbers. So we're wondering about 16,000.
Are you crunching numbers?
I'm a social worker.
Yeah, I can see Jen, she might have a calculator out like she was having.
Yeah, we're budgeting 18,000 for utilities. Are you talking about the blank space like ministry expenses, Kathy, or Tammy?
No, like on the very last item, under utilities for the 2023 budget, it's just blank.
Yeah.
After the 173,000, there is no number for utilities.
Right.
But I'm just wondering, is that 312,000 accurate then? Or would it, does it include a number for utilities or does it not? Even though it's not showing it. So
maybe it was budgeted in a different category.
It was
budgeted in a different category.
Yeah.
Jill didn't like some of the categories that.
Yeah, so she reassigned them.
that she reassigned categories. So I think utilities was under building.
So I have a question. So did we not realize though that we don't have all the firm numbers for December yet? So could that be part of the reason? Because if we're looking at 2023 actuals and we don't have the ending numbers for December, it's not real yet. So that's where it puts a little fuzzy on it.
So she's doing November over November, year over year.
Okay,
In the treasurer's report, if you go back to her treasurer's report.
But I'm referring to approving the, the new budget, we have to look at it as a budget itself versus what are we comparing to actuals, because we don't have all the actuals for 2023
She's
yet.
doing a 12-month period from what she has. So she
From what
doesn't
she
have
has.
December, and that's
Okay.
not her fault, that's her financials.
I got a question. So what is this on here that says bank service charges, what, for 2024 is planned for $1,910? What is that for? What does that mean?
Third one down. They charge, I don't remember the exact amount, because again, we don't see the financials like the treasurer does, we don't have access to it. But I know she verbally has told me that every time you guys write out a check for offering or whatever, any of us, the banks charge per check. So those are bank service charges from Bank West.
Really?
And in addition to like, Breeze and Simply
And
Giving and
Breeze,
making those
yeah, Breeze
donations,
costs money. Nothing's
there's
free.
a percentage of every donation made to the church.
Simply
that-
Giving and Breeze online, if you give online, or checks, all of that costs money.
I don't know if you remember, it was maybe a year and a half or so ago that Amy had talked to that and like kind of had a little graph of setting out like, make your donation like once a month because it was one charge versus the 4 charges if it was weekly and different things like that. And I said that, like literally, I think I just said this week, like how can I give my money without any of these
I know,
things?
so Simply Giving this charge.
Simply Giving charges a percentage. I don't know the exact percentage, because again, I'm not treasurer. Breeze charges, and so those are the 2 ways you can give online on our website. The third way is if you write a check, they charge, I don't know, it's like 50 cents a check or something. But however many checks you get a month.
So the only way you can give without charges is cash.
It is cash. But Bank West even probably charges for.
Yeah,
so many
they charge
deposits.
for,
Well, then
Okay,
there's
so-
just maintenance accounts, I mean, if you have an account too, I mean, there's just a monthly charge for a.
Yeah.
for that
Yeah, and all those things
maintaining
in
that
a-
account.
a church budget of this size do
Okay,
that.
so again, I think we're not gonna get all the questions answered right now, because there's some holes, and there's also, what do we need to do in order to go forward from here? And, I think there's some questions maybe we need an update, as soon as we get all the December numbers and all that, and then we can have everything presented, in a nice picture that provides all that information. But what do we need to do today in order to go forward?
Make a motion to have another meeting.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
For a year. Okay, so it sounds like I'm hearing enough rumblings that might be the way to go. So Jim has motion to table this and to call a special meeting to vote on the budget when we have all the numbers that we need. And a treasurer to speak to all of the numbers more.
Can you just,
eloquently.
can you extend this meeting? I don't know if it makes more sense to extend this.
How about we have a separate budget meeting, because there's
Okay.
other orders of business that, like, getting
Yeah,
council
we do
members.
wanna.
Because we're a skeleton base of council right now, and I'll be honest with you, I feel like a pastor right now, and I'm an unpaid pastor. And we need to get more council members in place for this exact reason that people are like, well, why don't we have this, why don't we have this? Because we're only so many people.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do the rest of the order of the business and then.
Okay, so do we have a motion to table the budget and to call a special meeting to vote on that at such time that we have all of the numbers and people to answer all of the questions? Do a motion?
Jim,
Jim,
motion
do
to
we have a second?
Second.
Wayne, all in favor?
Aye.
Are you opposed? Motion carries. All right. With that,
When do you need a record of voting members today?
we just needed to know that we had a quorum, which we met.
So
Because I know how many issues we've had.
I know, I refer to my counsel here.
I don't know.
Wendy,
What
do you
information do
still-
I need to have? It was just numbers that was
Do you
necessary.
still want us to do these?
That's coming, yes, so hang on to that. I'm gonna turn it over to Pam, and recall we worked hard on that constitution last year, and she's here to work on that more.
So I'm here to explain why we're voting on the Constitution again and why you have these clips on the table. So just to give you a little background or refresher on last year, in 2022 we had a Constitution committee that everyone in the congregation was offered the opportunity to participate, and meetings to update our Constitution were held April through August. And then the final Constitution Committee version was approved by Council to submit to the Synod at the beginning of September of 2022. The Synod review happened between September and December of 2022, and a final copy from both the Synod and their attorney was provided to us on December 15th of 2022. And then we shared that in advance of our congregational meeting on January 29th. And at that time, we voted to approve the Constitution without changes, and the document was submitted for the Synod for final approval. And I thought that checked all the boxes, but as Synod reviewed, they reminded me that when you are changing the amendments in your Constitution, which basically rewriting your entire Constitution, it is basically what you're doing, there needs to be 2 voting sessions by the congregation, and the second one must be an annual meeting. So I did submit the Constitution we all voted and approved, and they basically told me we needed to have a second vote at the next annual meeting. So that is why we're here today. I'm a human being who made a mistake, is what it amounts to.
You're good.
So, Wendy is going to ask for a motion and after any questions. And then you'll see there's voting slips. We need to have a 2/3 majority vote to approve this. So I'm going to be walking around with a basket to collect your votes so that we have actual counts of how many votes and how many we're for and against. It's a little bit easier in this type of manner versus a verbal vote. But before Wendy calls for a motion to approve this and to vote on this, I want to ask, does anyone have any questions about why we're doing this today or about the Constitution? Okay, I will turn it over to Wendy, and I will come around with the basket after she.
And we're voting yes for Constitution?
The yes is yes, I approve the new Constitution. The no is no, I do not approve it.
Okay, any questions, comments before we go forward with the Constitution? Do I have a motion to accept our Constitution?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All in favor? Sorry, I lied. Please put your vote in the basket, and you will all wait on pins and needles on those every week. I want to thank Pam and Pastor Aaron across the miles. They spent countless hours going through all of the detailed verbiage. I'm not necessarily not a word person, I like verbal words, but I'm really grateful that they took that task on, because our Constitution, like really a lot of it reflected how we did life when I was a kid. And we just do things differently. So it's really nice to have a Constitution brought to us that reflects that. Okay, while Pam is gathering those up, I'm going to move on because I know your time is valuable and I don't want to overstay my welcome. We're going to move on to our OFLC Council. We don't have a lot of positions open this year. We've got a few though, and it's always something that's a little daunting to say yes to, especially I always feel like at the end of the annual meeting. But Anthony Wolf tried to recruit me for council, and I think it was about 6 years before I kind of went, okay, fine. So you don't have to say yes to it, but maybe it's next year or the year after, but just think about it, because I really have appreciated the mix of voices that are coming in. And we have some people that are newer members and some people that have been here a long time, and male and female and all different kinds of
just demographics that really bring us as OFLC to the whole. And so it's nice for all of those different people to represent us. So currently what we're looking at for any changes, we have Aaron Smith who will be coming off of council. Lauren Johnson has graciously accepted the vice president role. So for those of you that don't know, we essentially have a group of at-large positions, which are just, you're just on the committee, you don't like necessarily move up. And then we have an exec team that's made up of the president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. And the only kind of moving pieces in it are the vice president. So our vice president is a one-year term that rolls up to the president as a second-year term. Before they're off. But what we're looking for right now, we've got Shannon has been our vice president this year. So she's on the ballot currently running unopposed as our president nomination. Lauren Johnson has stepped forward as our vice president candidate. Jody Bryant has graciously, her term is ended, but she has agreed that she really is just loving her time on the council. And we actually do a lot. Sometimes I'm like, okay guys, we gotta focus on what's going on here. Yes, and she likes to bring a lot of social gatherings to our group. And so she has put herself forward as a at-large position again. Do we have anyone current that would be willing to step forward as a at-large council position? If not, we will leave those open. I guess Mark Nelson's are up in the air.
How many are needed?
We need two.
Two, okay, there's 1, 2.
All right.
Anyone else? Good job. Anybody? I got one more year. So.
All right,
No.
Any other conversation or anybody who wants to oppose or jump in and nominating themselves to run against anyone, speak now. And then we'll give them until next year. You're so funny. Do I have a motion to accept the council nominations?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second? We got Kevin back there for a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I also have the constitution votes. I know it's amazing how fast technology that we can count these millions of ballot votes. The constitution passes with 33 yes votes and no votes. 0 no votes.
I don't have to do a recount.
All right, with that, I think that brings our business to a close. We'll be getting back to you on the continuation of our budget meeting. I'm going to turn it over to Kevin for a closing prayer.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we praise you that even though our meeting has come to an end, our work for you goes on. We thank you that you make us wise, you bring us joy to our hearts and light to our eyes. We thank you for what we have learned in this time together. We thank you for teaching and leading us through this meeting and for the mutual encouragement that we have received from each other. As we go from here, make us fruitful in the work that you have given us to do. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. We have a motion to end this annual meeting.
Okay.
Favor? Aye. All right, thank you
Your daughter? Your granddaughter? Oh, yes, I did. I did. They had different actors. They had different singers. Yeah, I saw that. I liked it. That was really good. Oh, I did, yeah. Who was, Lady, is her name Lady Wilson? She sang it. And she sang a really good song, and then, I like Casey Musgrave sang. Oh yeah, that was Post Malone. Post Malone. Yeah, I saw that. And then I didn't realize that Return to Sender was done in 2 different movies. Return to Sender. It happened at the World's Fair, and it was in one of his walks. It was either Those Girls or GIPs. I think it was GIPs.
No, I think it was
Girls, Girls, yeah.
He was standing, they had the band behind him, kind of imitating some other singer.
Yeah.
And he had his arms moving.
Yeah, so Those Girls, Girls.